Buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions most people will ever make. But in Texas, there are several things that can catch new homeowners completely off guard. Not because they're hidden, but because no one ever really explains them. From property taxes and homestead exemptions to MUD taxes and escrow surprises, understanding these before you buy can save you money, reduce stress, and help you make a much more informed decision. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 10 things I genuinely wish every Texas home buyer knew before signing on the dotted line. Welcome to Lone Star Breakdown, where we break down Texas government, taxes, and the laws that affect your everyday life. If that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing. Now let's get started. One of the biggest surprises for first-time home buyers in Texas is that the property taxes you see online before buying the home may not be the taxes you will actually pay after you become the homeowner. When you're looking at a home online, you'll usually see the current year's property tax amount. The problem is, those taxes are based on the current owner's situation and not yours. Maybe they've owned the home for 20 years. Maybe they qualify for exemptions that you don't. Or maybe the home was recently built and the value hasn't been fully assessed yet. Once the property changes ownership, the appraisal district can reassess the home and your tax bill may look very different than what you expected. So before you buy, don't just look at what the seller is paying. Look at what you are likely to pay. One thing I always recommend is looking up the property's tax history. Most Texas appraisal districts let you search a property by address. You can usually see several years of appraised values, taxable values, exemptions, and the taxes that were actually paid. If you notice the home's market value has been climbing every year or the current owner has exemptions you won't qualify for, that's a clue your future tax bill could be higher. So understanding what you may pay in property taxes before you make an offer can save you from one of the most common financial surprises first-time Texas homebuyers experience. A lot of first-time homebuyers think that once they buy the house, their monthly payment is locked in for the next 30 years. However, that's actually not true. If you have a fixed-rate mortgage, your principal and interest payment usually won't change, but that's only part of your monthly payment. Most homeowners also pay property taxes and homeowners insurance through an escrow account. Every month, your mortgage company collects money for those bills and holds it until they are due. Here's where people get caught off guard. If your property taxes go up, if your homeowner's insurance premium increases, or if your escrow account didn't collect enough money, your mortgage company may increase your monthly payment to make up the difference. That doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong with your mortgage. It simply means the actual cost of owning your home has changed. There's also one important thing to know if you're able to make a larger down payment. If you put 20% or more down on a conventional loan, you can generally avoid paying private mortgage insurance, also known as PMI. That can save you money every month. In many cases, putting 20% down may also give you the option to waive your escrow account. Instead of your lender collecting money every month for property taxes and homeowners insurance, you would be responsible for paying those bills yourself when they come due. That gives you more control over your money, but it also means you need to be disciplined enough to set aside money throughout the year so those large bills don't catch you by surprise. Not every lender offers an escrow waiver, so if that's something you're interested in, ask your lender before you close. Some actionable advice is every year your mortgage company will usually send you an escrow analysis. Don't ignore it. Take a few minutes to read it. It'll explain whether your payment is increasing, decreasing, or staying about the same and why. When you're budgeting for your first home, don't assume today's monthly payment will stay exactly the same for decades. Planning for some increases over time can make those changes much less stressful. One of the easiest ways to lower your property taxes in Texas is also one of the most commonly overlooked by first-time homeowners: filing your homestead exemption. A homestead exemption reduces the taxable value of your primary residence for certain taxing entities, such as school districts. In other words, it can reduce the amount of property taxes you owe each year. But here's the important part. you generally don't receive it automatically just because you bought a house. If you're eligible and don't file for it, you could end up paying more in property taxes than necessary. Once you've purchased the home and it is your primary residence, check with your county appraisal district to make sure your homestead exemption is filed as soon as you're eligible. The process is genuinely straightforward and it can save you money year after year. Just remember, a homestead exemption isn't available for rental properties or vacation homes. It's designed for your primary residence. If there's one thing you can take away from this point, it's this. Don't assume someone else has already filed it for you. Verify that your homestead exemption is in place at your local appraisal district. If you want to know more about the Texas Homestead Exemption, I have an entire video that explains it in much more detail, including who qualifies, how to file, and common mistakes to avoid. One of the biggest misconceptions about buying a home is that if you've saved enough for the down payment, you're ready to buy. In reality, you'll also need to budget for the closing costs. Closing costs are the fees and expenses associated with finalizing the purchase of your home. Depending on your situation, they can include things like lender fees, title insurance, appraisal fees, recording fees, prepaid property taxes, and prepaid homeowners insurance. The reason this matters is these costs are separate from your down payment, and for many buyers, they add up to several $1,000s. If you're not prepared for them, they can become an unexpected obstacle right before closing. Before you start house hunting, ask your lender for a realistic estimate of your closing costs. They'll never be exact months in advance, but having a good estimate will help you build a more accurate budget and avoid surprises. Also remember that every transaction is different. Your closing costs will depend on the purchase price, your loan, and even negotiations between you, the buyer, and seller. Sometimes sellers agree to pay a portion of the closing costs as part of the purchase agreement. The key takeaway is simple. Don't budget just for the down payment. Make sure you've planned for the closing costs as well so closing day is exciting and not stressful. On a side note, when I bought my first home, I knew I needed a down payment. What I didn't fully appreciate was just how many other costs are wrapped into closing. Fortunately, my lender prepared me for most of them, but it's something every first-time homebuyer should ask about before they get too far into the process. If you're buying a newer home in Texas, especially in a growing community, there's a good chance you'll hear the terms MUD or PID. If you're like most first-time homebuyers, you'll probably have no idea what those mean, but you absolutely should. A MUD, or known as Municipal Utility District, helps pay for infrastructure like water lines, sewer systems, drainage, and roads in developing communities. A PID, or Public Improvement District, helps finance public improvements such as roads, parks, landscaping, and other community amenities. The important thing for homebuyers is that these districts can result in additional property taxes beyond what you might otherwise expect. That doesn't necessarily mean buying in one is a bad decision. It just means you should understand how they affect your long-term housing costs before you buy. If you're considering a home in a newer subdivision, ask your real estate agent whether the property is located within a MUD or PID district. You can also verify that information through your county appraisal district or the property tax records if publicly available. If you'd like a much more detailed explanation of how MUDs and PIDs work, including why they exist and how to identify them, I have an entire video dedicated to that topic. One thing I wish someone had told me before I bought my first home is that your mortgage payment is only one part of the cost of home ownership. When you own a home, you're responsible for everything that comes with it. If the air conditioner stops working, the water heater fails, the roof leaks, or a plumbing issue comes up, there's no landlord to call. Those repairs are now your responsibility. Many first-time buyers spend months saving for a down payment and closing costs, but don't leave much room in their budget for maintenance and unexpected repairs. Even if nothing major breaks, you'll still have ongoing expenses like HVAC filters, lawn care, pest control, smoke detector batteries, and routine maintenance. One of the best things you can do is start building a home maintenance fund as soon as you buy your house. Even setting aside a little money each month can make those unexpected repairs much less stressful when they eventually happen. Owning a home can be incredibly rewarding, but budgeting for maintenance is just as important as budgeting for your mortgage payment. Just because a lender approves you for a certain amount doesn't necessarily mean you should spend that much. I think this is one of the most valuable points in the entire video because many first-time home buyers don't realize that what a lender says you can afford and what you'll feel comfortable paying every month are two different things. A lender looks at your income, debts, credit history, and other financial factors to determine how much they're willing to lend you. But they don't know your financial goals, your hobbies, your future plans, or how much financial flexibility you want after you buy your home. Buying at the very top of your budget may leave you with very little room for unexpected expenses, vacations, emergencies, or simply enjoying life. A house should be a place you enjoy, not something that causes financial stress every month. Before you start looking at homes, decide what monthly payment you're genuinely comfortable with, not just what you're approved for. That includes your mortgage, property taxes, homeowner's insurance, utilities, and routine maintenance. When I bought my first home, I wanted to make sure I still had room in my budget to save for retirement, handle unexpected expenses, and enjoy life outside of my mortgage payment. Everyone's situation is different, but having that financial cushion gave me a lot more peace of mind. At the end of the day, buying a home isn't about borrowing the most money possible. It's about finding a home that fits both your lifestyle and your long-term financial goals. When you're excited about buying a home, it can be tempting to move through the process as quickly as possible. But one of the biggest mistakes you can make is overlooking the value of a quality home inspection. Think of the inspection as information, not a reason to panic. Most homes will have issues. What matters is understanding those issues before you sign the final paperwork, not after you've moved in. A home inspection is designed to identify visible issues with the property before you finalize the purchase. While no inspection can guarantee you'll never have problems, it can reveal concerns that aren't obvious during a typical walkthrough. This matters because things like aging roofs, HVAC systems nearing the end of their life, plumbing issues, electrical concerns, or foundation problems can cost thousands of dollars to repair. Knowing about them before closing gives you the opportunity to make a more informed decision. If possible, take the time to attend the inspection if you can. It's one of the best opportunities you'll have to learn about your future home directly from someone who inspects houses every day. Ask questions, take notes, learn where your water shutoff is, how old the major systems are, and what maintenance the inspector recommends. Remember, every home has imperfections, even brand new homes. The goal isn't to find a perfect house. The goal is to understand what you're buying so you can make an informed decision. A home inspection isn't just another box to check during the buying process. It's one of the best investments you can make before becoming a homeowner. It's easy to fall in love with a beautiful house, but remember, you're not just buying the house, you're buying the neighborhood too. The perfect house can feel a lot less perfect if you later discover a long commute, heavy traffic, noisy neighbors, frequent flooding, or an HOA with rules you weren't expecting. Before you make an offer, spend some time researching the neighborhood just as much as you research the house itself. Visit at different times of the day, drive through on a weekday, on a weekend, and even after dark if you're comfortable doing so. A neighborhood can feel very different depending on when you visit. Here are a few things I recommend looking into before buying. 1. Commute times during rush hour. 2. Nearby schools even if you don't have children. 3. Flood risk and drainage concerns. 4. Future road construction or major developments. 5. HOA rules and monthly dues if applicable. And 6. Nearby shopping, hospitals, parks, and emergency services. The house itself can always be remodeled, painted, or upgraded, but you can't pick it up and move it to a different neighborhood. Taking a little extra time to research the area can help you avoid regrets later. Buying a home is a long-term investment, and choosing the right neighborhood is just as important as choosing the right floor plan. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this: don't rush the biggest purchase of your life. It's easy to feel pressure when homes are selling quickly or when you finally find one you really like, but buying a home isn't just about finding a house. It's about making a decision you'll likely live with for years. Taking a little extra time to ask questions, review documents, understand your finances, and research the property can save you thousands of dollars and a lot of unnecessary stress after closing. Some practical advice is, don't be afraid to ask your lender questions. Ask your real estate agent questions, ask the title company questions, ask the home inspector questions. This is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make, and there's no such thing as asking too many questions. When I bought my first home, there were plenty of things I didn't know. That's one of the reasons I wanted to make this video, to hopefully help someone else avoid some of the surprises I experienced. Buying your first home should be exciting, not overwhelming. The more you understand before you sign the paperwork, the more confident you'll feel throughout the process and long after you've moved in. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to Lone Star Breakdown. I make videos explaining Texas government, homeownership, property taxes, and the laws that affect everyday Texans. And if there's a topic you'd like me to cover next, let me know in the comments below.